Schönbrunn does not feel like a fortress of raw power. It feels like a world designed to endure. At sunrise, the palace glows in a soft imperial yellow, warm, composed, almost gentle. The light settles quietly on its long facade, as if nothing here has ever been rushed. But do not mistake calm for weakness. Schönbrunn is not delicate beauty. It is disciplined beauty, the kind shaped to hold a dynasty together across centuries. This palace became the great imperial home of the Habsburgs, especially under Empress Maria Theresa, who ruled from 1740 to 1780. She did not merely govern an empire. She managed a family, a court, an image, all at a scale few people in history have ever faced. The site of Schönbrunn existed earlier as a hunting lodge, but its true transformation began in the 18th century. Under Maria Theresa, the palace was redesigned and expanded into a carefully structured stage for imperial life. Every wing, every hall, every room had a purpose. Some were built for ceremony, some for diplomacy, some for daily routines that never truly belonged to ordinary life. Nothing here existed only to impress visitors. Schönbrunn existed to enforce order. As you approach the palace, its symmetry does something subtle to the mind. The proportions slow your pace. Your posture straightens without instruction. A place like this does not need guards to command behavior. Architecture itself becomes authority. Inside, the staterooms shimmer with controlled luxury. Gilded frames catch the light without excess. Chandeliers glow, not to dazzle, but to illuminate hierarchy. Polished floors reflect footsteps that were once measured and rehearsed. Silk-covered walls soften sound, ensuring that voices never rose above their station. Power here was never loud. Power was precise. Schönbrunn was not only a palace of politics. It was a palace of family. Maria Theresa famously had 16 children. In a royal dynasty, children were not simply loved, they were strategic assets. Marriages became treaties. Engagements became negotiations. Birthdays marked not only age, but readiness for responsibility. Within these walls, young princes and princesses were taught how to walk, how to bow, how to speak, and how to remain silent. They learned that affection had limits, that duty often arrived before desire, and that personal happiness could never outweigh the needs of the empire. Court life followed an intricate choreography. Every entrance was timed, every greeting followed protocol. Fashion itself became a language of control, structured coats, fitted bodices, immaculate gloves, jewels worn with restraint. Excess was permitted only when disciplined. Court etiquette was not tradition for tradition's sake. It was a system that reminded everyone who stood above, who stood beside, and who must never stand at all. Beyond the ceremonial rooms, Schönbrunn opens into gardens that feel almost unreal. Long avenues stretch into the distance. Fountains rise and fall with mechanical precision. Sculpted hedges create corridors of green that guide the eye and the body. The garden was not merely decorative. It was a promise. A promise that the empire was stable. That the future was planned. That everything, and everyone, had a place. Yet behind perfect order, there is always a cost. A family empire demands sacrifice. It demands constant performance. It demands that love and duty become so tightly intertwined that they are difficult to separate. In quieter corridors, away from ceremony and applause, one can almost feel the pressure that once lingered here, the fear of failure, the weight of expectation, the loneliness of being endlessly observed. To belong to this palace was to live in comfort, but rarely in freedom. As centuries passed, the world beyond Schönbrunn changed faster than the palace itself. Revolutions reshaped Europe. Empires weakened. Old alliances lost meaning. In 1918, at the end of the First World War, the Habsburg monarchy collapsed. Austria ceased to be an empire. And Schönbrunn, once a living imperial residence, began its transformation into something else, a symbol, a memory, a preserved world. This is the strange magic of palaces. Their walls remain long after their purpose fades. Chandeliers still glow, floors still shine, gardens continue to breathe with seasonal rhythm. Yet the power that once filled these rooms no longer commands. It is observed, interpreted, remembered. At sunset, when light softens the palace once more, Schönbrunn feels like a lesson written in stone and air. It tells us that an empire can be built through family, ceremony, and discipline, but even the most carefully designed world cannot hold time still. Schönbrunn is not only about wealth. It is about the human desire to preserve order in a changing world. A dynasty held together through marriage and ritual. A family empire carved into stone, softened by sunlight, and remembered, quietly, in silence.